Ladies and gentle Xenos, coming to you live from Rick Priestley's luxurious mansion. This is the #1 Tyranid shit show on the internet, the Creature Conference. And here is your host, Mr. Pink.
Hello, and welcome to this, the internet's #1 Xenos shit show. I'm your host, Modern Synthesis, otherwise known as Mr. Pink. And I'm joined this evening by my erstwhile companions, Flynnhammer. Want to say hello, Flynn?
Hello.
Hydra. Want to say hello, Hydra?
Good evening.
Good evening. And we should be joined soon by the agent of chaos himself, Symbio Joe. But he has some chaos he needs to get up to before he shows up. So he's off, I don't know, being chaotic or something. But we'll look forward to him joining soon. And the topic for tonight's stream, as I alluded to in the description for the stream, is it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. And this is, of course, referring to, I got the card up here that I made for the stream. It's got a nice female custodes in it. We'll get back to that in a second. And then I've also got the most recent issue of White Dwarf here, issue 499. Ooh. Which I wasn't necessarily going to buy until I heard that there's something pretty cool in here in the form of, yes, there's Tyranids in here. We'll get to that. But when they feature the different models at the beginning of each magazine, they featured the Gate Crushers by, they have his real name here, or they have his, oh, Cerberus XT. Oh, Benoit. Oh, I didn't actually know what his real name is. So Benoit, otherwise known as Cerberus XT, has been working on this project for a long time, taking Primaris Space Marines and painting them up in different pride colors, which is pretty sweet. And to be clear, I was shocked that this wound up in White Dwarf, because I'm happy to see this in White Dwarf, but I did not for a second expect that Games Workshop would be happy to see this in White Dwarf. So I literally bought this magazine to be like, do my little part, to be like, this is the kind of content I want to see. So yeah,
Yep.
the idea here, I have a better picture of this. I just wanted to show that it was in the magazine. There's a whole write-up here, which is great. You can check it out. So the idea here that Benoit started, he started this like years ago, I think, was that he was going to paint a different Primaris Space Marine in each one of the pride colors. So we have like, oh god, I really should know. There's a lot. Like there's like bisexual pride, there's like asexual pride, there's trans pride, there's like, I think this is bear pride, the yellow one, or the yellow and space wolfy looking one. So yeah, this is pretty cool, and I love that this was featured in White Dwarf. But as you might be able to guess from the title of the stream, there were a great many people who were not happy that this was featured in White Dwarf. There were some very angry boys on the internet about this, and how Games Workshop has gone broke, gone woke, and blah 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 blah. So yeah,
Don't I know the Games Workshop was bought by Disney?
Kathleen Kennedy's getting in there. Oh my god. Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of like representation in the hobby. I think it's important. And I think that this is a really cool way for representation. Like it's very like tokenistic or like symbolic, but it's still a cool way for like this kind of important stuff to show up in the hobby. Like if you go in there, they didn't just post the Space Marines and be like, hey. Oh, and also love the name for these. These guys are called the Gate Crushers, which is a nod to like gatekeepers, the people who try and keep certain folks out of the hobby. But it's cool that they did like they gave him the whole write-up. Like,
Yep.
I guess he only really talks about the LGBT community. Like, I'm not sure if he says the word trans in there anywhere. Non-binary's in there. But that's cool that that kind of stuff is showing up in a Games Workshop magazine, and that there are folks who are going to see that and feel seen by that. But yeah, the kind of people who you'd expect to be angry about this are very angry about this. But I think they're all threatening to leave the hobby and go do I don't know, mech warrior. So I'm sorry for the mech warrior community that you have to deal with these morons, but I guess they're taken off. And I just thought that yeah, sorry. And Simon, had you heard about this? Like these Space Marines showing up in, you're not as into the randomness of our community as I am, which is probably better for you, but
I've seen it. I actually think I am following the person who posted that or who wrote that.
oh,
And
Flynn,
it was
you read my mind. Thanks for putting. So Flynn has put the profile in the chat. Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
So I saw that and I actually wasn't sure if that was real or if someone just made it up. Because it was, as you said, so unusual for GW to do.
You mean the publishing?
And yes.
Yep.
Because that's a really blend between real world and Hobbyland.
Yep.
And that was, I was really excited for that to happen. And I feel like I've seen those Space Marines being posted before and all that, but yeah, seeing it actually happen was great.
Lynn, how did you feel about it?
So for me, I'm just actually glad that you can actually see different sides of the hobby, because
Yep.
it's not just all grim dark. It is paint your models how you want to be. They are if you see someone's models, they are technically a representation of themselves anyway. And so
Yeah, good point.
someone's comfortable enough to be able to be like, because don't know the individual personally, it's like they could be part of the LGBT community themselves, or they could be an ally to someone who's part of the community.
Yeah,
And
like
this is how they're supposed
I
to
don't know
support.
that I don't want to out anybody, but like the three of us, I don't believe are members of the LGBT community directly, right? I don't know. I guess I've never really asked you guys before formally.
Nope.
I don't identify myself as a member of the LGBT community. I identify myself as like an ally to the community, but I just want to like make it clear that you can be an ally. You don't have to be part of the community to appreciate this kind of stuff. That's how I feel about it.
Oh, for sure. I feel like I still am. Well, I think I talked about this before. I still had in my biography at some point understand that there are people who actually have a problem with LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
Because it was for me so normal to for my best friend to be lesbian. Well, not at first we thought we were lesbian. At some point, turns out she identified as male. Long story short, I had to learn that this is a thing apparently, that people find this offensive or whatever.
Yeah.
And having to call yourself an ally almost feels like weird, because it should be normal that everyone is an ally, aside from the fuckers we don't want.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, if I had to identify, like, to me it's normal to be an ally, it's human to be an ally. If I need to call myself an ally, then that's what I am.
Good. I figure I should probably just read this. I keep trying to put it on the screen and it's not really going well. So, says the Gate Crushers. Hello, my LGBT pride-themed Space Marines chapter, the Gate Crushers, is basically a story of happy discovery. It all started with a gift for a friend, a Tyranid that I painted using trans pride flag colors. At first I thought it wouldn't end up looking all that great, with the colors being so unconventional, but the meaning behind it mattered to my friends, so I went for it anyway. I was so wrong. The color scheme turned out pretty incredible and made me realize that I shouldn't dismiss unconventional ideas straight away and to try things out. Seeing as I'm a huge Space Marine fan, bleh, I tried. My only problem with this article, I'm a huge Space Marine fan. Seeing as I'm a huge Space Marine fan, I tried out the same scheme on a Reaver, second row above, and it came out just as well as the Tyranid. So I thought, if it worked that well with one pride flag, why not try some of the others? That's pretty cool that he started with the trans flag. And like, I really love that Reaver. That's a really cool thing. Symbio, welcome, buddy. How you doing?
Hello, someone called my Ministry of Foreign Affairs and demanded a decoy German.
Well,
Here I am!
I'm glad you showed up, buddy. We're just talking about the article that was in the, well, not article, it's like a letter in White Dwarf from Cerberus XT, who did the Pride Marines. Are you aware of this?
Yes, I'm aware of this, and sadly I had to unfollow someone over it.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to follow up with you after to see if I also have to unfollow someone. We were just talking about how, like, we want to start off by talking about, like, representation in the community and why it's so important. And Simon and I were just identifying as allies and not necessarily, like, quote-unquote members of the community, and how this is important to us even as allies. And I'm going to get your read on it in a second if you're willing to share it, but I'm just going to finish reading the letter here because I started reading it. All right, so yeah, so he talked about painting his first first miniature as a Reaver in trans colors, which went, oh no, sorry, the first was a Tyranid, and then the Reaver in trans colors, which turned out well. And then so I thought if it worked that well with one pride flag, why not try some of the others? After all, it would be challenging, fun, and a meaningful nod to communities dear to me. So that's what I did. And 12 miniatures later, the Gate Crushers were born. I'm happy to say that none of the color schemes based on those 12 flags were a disappointment. One even ended up being my absolute all-time favorite, the non-binary one. I think this... No, wait. One of the purple ones is non-binary. Is anyone better at this than I am?
Nope.
I know Ace is, I think it's the black and the purple one.
Okay, so so I think Ace, thanks. Ace is black and purple, so I think the black and purple and yellow one, which is sick, is the non-binary one. If you want to reproduce these color schemes, I've made all of them freely available on my Instagram, Cerberus XT _figurines. Yeah, and Cerberus does a really good job of doing these guides on his Instagram. It's like you just click through different posts and it's all there. So yeah, and then Games Workshop's commentary on it. What an awesome collection of models you've painted, Benoit, and what an exceptional tribute you're paying to all the many LGBT communities out there. It's incredible how good all the flag colors look on Space Marines. We're all about inclusiveness here in the White Dwarf Bunker. Boom! Eat it, neckbeards! We're also all about creativity, and your project clearly ticks both of those boxes, and more besides. Gold stars all around. We think. Incidentally, are there any Citadel colors you didn't use in the creation of these models? Okay. Now we're getting back to selling product. Thank you, Games Workshop. But
it's fine.
It's fine.
I think it's, to be honest, there's two big elements to that of them asking. One is so they can actually point you directly to what colors to use in there for Games Workshop. So people can go, oh, I can recreate this with these own colors, because some people might not be a hobby butterfly like Hydra and not know there's other companies out there and only have Games Workshop as their point. And so they go, like, oh, I can recreate these with all Games Workshop colors. That's good to know.
Yep.
Sort of thing.
All right. Symbio, how do you feel about this? Joe, you there?
Well, first of all, as a German, I have hardly feelings at all. So I don't know.
In the depths of your cold German heart, if there was a tiny inkling of a tickling, what would it be?
Okay. I'm very indifferent about this.
Okay. All right.
What I was not indifferent about was someone calling that MAP, what I had to look up.
What? A performative act or something? What is it?
No.
Mate.
In that context, MAP might stand for minor attracted people.
That's the person.
Oh, Jesus.
And that is a can of worms, apparently, that is en vogue now to open up.
Oh no! So this is like they're ensuing that this is some grooming bullshit.
Yes.
Well, that's
What?
lame.
Can you tell us if you're comfortable not telling us on stream, just send us a message who it is, because I remember seeing that and I looked up, was like, okay, I don't really know what that is. If
Let's
they're
not put
meaning
it on the
something
stream
else.
because
I
I
know
don't
I'm not
know.
saying put it in the stream, but like,
But I
let
want to
us
know too.
know elsewhere.
I don't want to like try and dogpile anyone on stream. I mean, try and dogpile anyone with our 10 concurrent viewers. That's gonna be a hell of a puppy pile.
So smooth and cuddly.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing that, Symbio. Wait, fuck. What was I gonna say? I can't remember. Yeah, like this doesn't hurt anybody. This is the whole thing. Like, where Simon has a really great story to share about inclusivity in the hobby, or in like hobby spaces in general, and why it matters. But I just want to say that like my view on it is like with these dudes, the gate crushers, with the female custodies. How hot is this female custodies? Like, damn, just damn. How can you not appreciate a female custodies? Anyway. I'm not objectifying, I swear to God. But yeah, like it doesn't hurt anyone. So there's female custodies, so maybe there's female space marines. So someone made a Gate Crusher Space Marine chapter. Just like how you don't care about Blood Angels at all. You can not care about this stuff if it's not, you're not into it. But someone does care somewhere, and it's important for them to see it and to be able to experience it. Yeah, so I think it's cool that it's happening and it's important. And Simon, could you maybe tell us a little more about why it's so important to have representation in the hobby?
Yes. And I think it's we all have to agree that GW is a company that wants to own money.
Yep.
And to a certain degree, every company needs to do that. So we have to accept the fact that if we want to enjoy our hobby, we need companies to sell stuff.
Yeah.
And that means that they have to think about who they are selling their stuff to.
Yes.
Of course, there is a market of, young male persons. But I think you have to accept the fact that that this is not the end of the line, that there's a market beyond that.
Yep.
And I think what now might appear to some almost revolutionary could be like a regular experience that female persons are in the hobby.
Yes.
When I look at my Instagram followers, I always wonder how I could change that. But I think the subject I'm working on with my stuff is not, apparently not interesting enough for them. I don't know, but having like opening up to different branches or to different target groups could be a smart way to branch out for GW. So this said before, as some of you know, I have my a club I'm running at a school, and I had the incredible luck to have of all the students I have had in my club, there only have been 3 boys so far.
Nice.
And all of them, I welcome everyone in my club. I don't care. But it was their choice to join my club. And surprisingly, I had a lot of female students joining.
Yep.
Because they were interested in what I was doing. The fun thing is that I went for, because I want to keep it easy in the club and simple. I'm and especially miniature agnostic, to be not tied to a certain range of miniatures. I went for the indie wargame Brawler Cane by our dear friend Brett.
Yep.
And this basically contains of 4 figures for each side, and everyone gets a wizard, and you can, you throw fireballs at each other. And the beauty is that you can, it's a hobby in a nutshell. You can build your board, but it's not very it doesn't have to be very sophisticated. You just have to paint a handful of miniatures, and I just have my students for half a year, so I can't go overboard with that. So, long story short, I presented them the miniatures that I thought fit, and no, it was differently. I wanted to show them, just plainly show them how to assemble a miniature. And what I did was I had great sponsors, and one of them sent me.
Wait, who are your
space.
sponsors? You should mention them because they are great.
Yeah, the one that I got my stuff from was the online store Kutami. That's a German online store, and they send me a big box of sprues from GW.
Yeah.
And I was sponsored by PK Pro with glue and tools and paints and brushes and all kinds of stuff. So they basically had me put me into a state where I could actually run this club from the get-go. And so I had just quotation marks, just those miniatures from GW that I wanted to show my students and show on the miniature how to assemble stuff. So I took the stuff that looked pretty similar, so I didn't have to split boxes or anything like that. So took a box of Sigmarines and or Stormcast Eternals, as the right term is, and went to the club with that box of Stormcast Eternals and handed it to my students, and I gave them a minute to look at the sprue and get used to the look of it, and after, I don't know, 10 minutes, the question arose like, are there any female models in there? And I said, well, I haven't looked closely, but I think there are not. Turns out there's one. I was wrong. There was one model in there that was female, from all 30 or so. And that was my first encounter that I thought, oh, okay, they're interested in female models, because at that point there were 16 girls and one boy in the group. So I didn't think long, because luckily North Star Figures, they produce the miniatures for Frostgrave. Or the quotation marks official miniatures for Frostgrave. You can use whatever you want, but there's kind of official line. They produce all plastic boxes, either male or female. And so I went and just got 2 boxes of female wizards, because they all demanded for female models. And that one boy, of course, got what he wanted. He got a male wizard from my collection, but I asked them, I gave them the choice and said, what do you want to have? And they said, we all want female wizards. I was like, okay, luckily I can provide that. That's not very, and I can give you models that are not over, don't have their boobs out, and are suited for 12 years old. So they were happy, and I recently, I had the students change, and I have new students, and I presented them the same thing. But what I did this time, I gave them the choice right away. I had all the sprues from the Frostgrave range, either in male or in female.
Nice.
And what I wanted to observe was how they would treat, how they would choose if they were presented both sexes equally, like without any is there like I felt like there was at some point in the first with the first group, there was like this, someone asked if there is a male or female, is there a female model, and afterwards everyone was looking for the female model. So I thought, okay, that might have warped the perception. So I presented them this time the like male and female models equally at the same time, and all the girls went for all the female models, be it wizard, be it warrior, be it barbarian. Luckily, the range is pretty large, and I could present them all kinds of different things. The only thing, I also had some lizard men from Wargames Atlantic, where they didn't mind the sex. They didn't even they didn't ask for it. They were okay. These are lizard men. Fine, I'd take one of those. And just when I was running low on female models, some considered that it could be possible for them to have like a male model in their group. And that being said, I didn't press anyone in any opinion. I said, this is what we have. This is what I could buy from the money that was donated to me. That's what I can do for you. You know, this is what we have. And that was all the info that I gave them, because, you know, everyone should build whatever they wanted. And if there would have been someone being like, oh yeah, I just want to build just male wizards or male figures as a girl, that would have been 100% totally fine with me as well. So looking at that, if presented a choice of male or female female models, I would assume now from my little study here that girls would prefer female models. So if you want to sell tabletop miniatures to girls, give them female models. I think that's easy as this.
Yeah.
And as I said at the beginning, if you want to expand the people you can sell little plastic toy soldiers to, think about what they want. And here's an answer for that question.
And okay, so first of all, thank you for sharing that story. I love that story when you shared it in our Discord. I love the illustration of the fact that, like, if you give possible female wargamers female models, they might choose female models. Like, just having the choice gives people a choice. If there's no choice, then, well, I guess we're all doing dudes. But, like, it's good to give them a choice. But I'm glad you brought it back to, if you want to sell models to female players, give them female models. Because with all this, like, we hear about all this junk about like Star Wars and like Kathleen Kennedy and like Marvel and like, oh my god, they're so woke, it's a woke agenda. And one of my favorite YouTubers, Preston Jacobs, who does Song of Ice and Fire stuff, he also does a lot of like media stuff. Like, he'll watch like popular shows and review them and stuff like that. And he gets these people who are like, oh, they're only doing like representation, they're only doing inclusion because it's this agenda and they want to like virtue signal and all this blah blah blah. But he breaks it down and he says, no, like Hollywood, Marvel, Disney, as Simon said, Games Workshop, they only want to make money. All they want is money. They just want money.
Okay.
And if you can create a new market for your toys, your movies, your games. What?
Oh. Simon's. Oh, no.
Sorry?
You were speaking German, Simon.
Oh, I thought I muted myself.
Oh, no.
Apparently I did not. Good.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that, like, this kind of stuff, like, representation is important, it matters, but when it comes down to a business, all they want to do is make more money. And they're not doing it to be, like, out of the goodness of their heart. They're not doing it to, like, promote some, like, woke agenda or anything like that. They just want to make money. And, like, there's someone in the comments right now who's saying some stuff about data on Games Workshop and how it's 75% male and only 25% female at maximum. And I don't know if that person's trying to like insinuate that this stuff doesn't matter because it's mostly men in the hobby.
On our stream?
The data, it's in the comments of the stream, it's fine. The data that's being cited is just an illustration of the fact that Games Workshop would make like, what is that if like if only 25% of your market share is female and you increase it to like 50% of your market share, like, isn't that like 100% increase in profits? They just want to increase profits. So like, at the end of the day, it's good business for Games Workshop to do representation, to do inclusion, to let everyone feel comfortable in the hobby from a pure mercenary business perspective. I care about this stuff from like the touchy. Oh, and Simon, I brought your post up from Instagram where you showed like the models that your kids made. So that's the thing that I had on the screen here. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, so I hate. Go ahead, Simon.
I think it's also about speech. If you or no, words, language. I think it's about language. If you use the term inclusion for this or representation, that sounds like, I think to certain people, this already sounds like, oh, this is a woke agenda, blah, blah, blah. But if you would rephrase that into, for example, opening up new market possibilities or new selling possibilities or any fancy term from your economic studies, like that would sound completely different. Like, oh yes, our company has decided to open up a new, or to has decided to engage proactively a new target group. So yeah, that no one would argue with that,
New
right?
customer base. Increase the
New customer base, yes. And no one would argue with that. And suddenly this sounds completely different than, oh yeah, we're trying to include anyone or something like that. Because I think inclusion means that you are aware that there's work that you have to do. And when I think at least of inclusion in school, inclusion changes the way schools work in Germany drastically. And that means if you're talking to at least to a teacher about inclusion, they will have their opinion on that, if it works or not and all that. But if you say from a salesman perspective, I'm opening up new market possibilities, that's completely within the language those people use. And this could also mean, yes, we are making products which are attractive to females. And it sounds like all the whiny boys who have been crying when Masters of the Universe branched out to reach out to girls, because they noticed back then that half of the customer base was female. All the girls were playing with their brothers' He-Man toys, and so Mattel decided, well, we can sell them a specific product for them as well, and that's what they did.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just it's good business. Representation is good business. Like, there's all this junk before about, oh, go woke, go broke. If you do this, like, your main customer base is going to leave. But the reality is that, like, me and Simon and Flynn are the main customer base of this, like, of Games Workshop. And we've been around for a while. I've been around since 1997. And I'm still here, and I'm all about it. So it's this myth. And then it's also the case. Oh, the other thing that I thought about that I wanted to mention here is, I've mentioned this 1,000 times, but Ichi used to be on the painting phase, YouTube podcast, whatever. And on the painting phase, he had this amazing dude who was a Games Workshop product designer who came on, and he like revealed all this stuff about like contrast paint and like fine cast and all this stuff. He was amazing. He was so good. What do you remember what his name is, Flynn?
No, but I know who you are. They had him on a second time, and he had even more amazing things. Oh god, it's so good. Just go to like, just look up painting phase and look up. The first one is, did contrast save Games Workshop from bankruptcy or something? And then the second one is something about fine cast. So if you just look up painting phase fine cast or painting phase contrast, maybe you'll find it. But the one of the best things that he said was, he talked about the whole thing. Remember when they made Age of Sigmar and all the angry like Warhammer Fantasy people were like, I'm gonna burn my army, blah 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 blah. He said, he's like, the kind of stuff that Games Workshop makes and the kind of customers that Games Workshop cares about are people who are getting into the hobby, who are new hobbyists, who are starting their collections. They still kind of care about like old fogies like us who have been around forever and have a butt ton of models, but we are not their priority, as we shouldn't be, because we don't spend as much as a brand new hobbyist who's just coming into the hobby. So if they make more representative models and they bring in more like younger, diverse fans, they're going to sell more stuff, and that's all they care about. That we're so far off what they care about, and they're like, he said, the hobby trumpet, it's like the product funnel for like what parts of their customer base they're prioritizing. And I feel like the kind of people who are really mad about representation and who feel like this is un-Warhammer stuff and say that they're the gatekeepers keeping the hobby authentic for what it's supposed to be, I'm pretty sure those guys are not buying any models.
or at least not buying anywhere near as many models as a new customer who Games Workshop needs to bring through the door if they're going to keep in business. And it benefits all of us because the more customers they get in the door, the more cool models come out that the rest of us get to play with.
That's one thought, and I just had another one. Imagine, like, in some places you sometimes struggle to find someone to play with. Imagine suddenly having 50% more players you can play with.
Yeah, exactly. And my dude in the comments with your stats and all that, like, saying that you'd need to see stats about if you have female armies that bring in female players. We're not talking about female armies. We're talking about female models within existing armies. And you cite Sisters of Battle. Sisters of Battle is the worst example of how to do inclusion. Sisters of Battle is like, oh, if you want female models, you need to play with this all-female army. And you can only play with this all-female army, and all these other armies are just dudes. Like, that makes no sense.
Nick, I've got something else I want to add into this Sisters of Battle argument as well. You cannot use Sisters of Battle as a fair argument because they have only had a decent army for the last 5 years. Everything else was metal. I collected Sisters of Battle. I hated the fact that everything was metal. It was so expensive. It was such an army that actually would put people off from collecting because they were like, this army is the only female models here that I can actually agree with.
Yeah.
And it's too expensive. You cannot use Sisters of Battle as that because
Flynn,
for 15 years.
Flynn,
but what?
I'm going to stop you right there. Nobody who brings up Sisters of Battle as a foil to, like, there should be more inclusion in the hobby gives a shit about Sisters of Battle. They're just like, you want female models? Here are female models. Why are you not happy? Like, it's not a genuine argument. You make very good points about why Sisters of Battle was not a great army to get into. But the short and long of it for me is that representation has to happen everywhere. It's not like within this happy little representation fence over here. Like, oh, you want female models? There's your one force that has female models. Like, Eldar have had female models for 20 years? And it was like, no thing. Like, no thing.
Yeah. Also, I've got another point.
And the problem is, if you look at other games, and GW has kind of come back from a decline, but it's a constant struggle, right? It's never over.
Yeah.
But if you look, for example, at Infinity, where you have like every unit type is male and female. It's so easy. You
like
can sell
humans. Who knew?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's more comments in regards to why people don't play women playing certain armies. Okay.
Well, I hope they're women because they should tell us.
Yeah, you're saying that the women at your clubs are only playing these certain armies. Like, I know Electro does plenty saying and Airborne, but I've got a counter argument to you. Because they've also mentioned about why there are no female Adeptus Custodi models. Okay, how would you represent a female Necron on the tabletop in a respectable way? How would you represent female Tau on the tabletop in a respectable way? We know there's War Games Atlantic, War Games exclusive that do female Tau, but they do very evocative female Tau. How are you going to be more respectful of doing that? Because if you want to stay true to the law, there would be female Necrons. Why haven't we seen any female Necrons?
You do. It's because a female skeleton looks like a male skeleton. They're all female. Exactly. The Necrons actually are a fully female force. You just have no idea because they're all skeletons.
The flowers on their bare metal skull.
Yeah. There's also the bit with Sisters of Battle. The reason why they exist for law reasons is because of there was a wording of they couldn't have males with weapons, armed male militia for the church because of what happened during the Age of Strife or the Age of whatever it was. I can't remember which one it was.
Okay, Flynn. I'm going to stop you right there. Anyone who mentions lore for why you can't have women in anything, or lore for why you do have women, I understand that's cute, and that's kind of like a nod to the, like, no man of woman born, I am no man, like that kind of stuff, but we don't need lore reasons for women to exist. Like, open your window, look outside, women exist. We're living in a like, we're playing this game, the Imperium is a human society where women exist, women can exist. We don't need to make fancy lore or fancy models to like specially include women. Just put some female heads on Space Marines, put some female heads on Imperial Guard, like they've already done. Like they did that with the Guardsmen. Like you can have like slight anatomical like differences, but it doesn't need to be boob plate. Like this can just happen.
Yeah. Easy as that.
Yeah.
And it feels so weird because all this argument feels like someone is getting taken something from them.
Yeah, like who's losing anything? This is what I don't understand.
Yeah. And I also feel like no one's losing here anything. In best case, we get more cool models. So what's the deal with that?
So I don't know that this is a direct application, but there was this experience I had where a friend of mine, she married a guy who had already been married, and he had kids. So they had like a diverse family that had the other kids included. And one of the kids was really worried because one of the kids was worried that he couldn't love his old mom and his new mom together, that he had to pick one or the other. And how the parents explain it to the kid is it's like, why do you need to choose? Like there can always be more love. You can love this person and you can love that person. Like you don't need to pick and choose. Like there's no limit to it. No one loses out if you love both of them. And no one loses anything if there's more choice, more diversity represented in the models. Like someone explained to me the problem with that. Are you seriously storing green stuff in the plastic it came in?
Yes, I still am.
Oh my god.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Don't do what this man's doing. Yeah, like I don't understand why anyone loses anything if there's female Space Marines, female Imperial Guard, female Custodes, female anything. Why do we need to have a boys only club? What's being lost? I don't understand.
Give me my female giants.
Female. Oh, dude, have you seen? I've sent you those giants, right? Someone's doing like sculpts to make the giants female. And they're so good.
They are terrific.
Those were by Siege Studio that did those giants. They were like a commission piece, I think.
Oh, Siege did. I didn't realize it was Siege Studios doing
So
those.
Siege do custom commissions, so you can actually commission them to do certain models.
Were they in Millipede?
No, they're green stuff and stuff. They use quite a few different bits, but they have people in house that do it there, and they've done like Gotrek and Felix, etc. They do loads.
Cool.
So I've seen those ones. Someone did like some Mega Gargants women, but I just want actual female models because they're so limited, or they are very, let's just say, your typical dungeon crawling game of female armor of here's a bikini. I don't want that. I don't want that for my female characters. It's just not practical. I want things that are practical and also hysterically funny in my giant army.
Well, the way your sculpting progresses, you're soon there to do it yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, you flattered me.
So some weird comments going on here. Mr. Osborne saying, I get the feeling that Warhammer will never be widely popular like video games. That is a fundamental misunderstanding of what Games Workshop is doing right now in licensing like video games, television shows, books, like tchotchkes, toys, Joy Toy. Like they're absolutely going like big business on this. They're trying to make Warhammer as popular as video games.
And this is, well, there's something, a thought of line I would like, train of thought that I would like to pick up. When we're talking about economics, there are, market share is what every, is the currency a company deals in, right?
Yeah.
So the larger the larger the piece of the pie they have, the more important they are, right?
Yeah.
So if I recall it correctly, there are 3 ways to enlarge your market share. So step A would be making your product in production cheaper, while staying at the same price. I'm not sure that GW can do that.
Yeah.
Because plastic is constantly, and metal and energy and everything, all that goes constantly more up than down.
Yeah.
So this is not really an option. Step 2 is
Increase customer base?
no, reducing no going on the people that work for you.
Yeah.
And GW did that. They
You mean like
crushed
reducing your
everything
labor
down.
force?
Sorry?
Reducing your labor force, like laying people off?
Yes. Yes. Not reducing your labor cost, but reducing the cost for personnel for
Yeah.
employers, because that's the largest, the most expensive part every company has to face.
Yeah.
Because workforce is always the most, the biggest part. And so GW did that, and paid, I think, not horrible, but they did pay a price in doing so. They stomped all the countries.
Oh yeah, like there used to be like a German office, there used to be like a Canadian office.
Exactly. And they got rid of all those people. We had a German CEO. Of course, that was eating
Whoa.
money.
Yeah.
And getting rid of him was probably a pretty good idea for the company, because it saves lots of money not to pay a CEO when you have like some dummy, some minion standing there. So they kind of did that, and I think it makes sense now to find other ways to gain more market share, and branching out on different medias. Like GW aims not anymore to sell tabletop miniatures. They aim to sell an IP.
Yeah.
And this IP does not necessarily need to come in a tabletop miniature form anymore.
No, definitely not, because the tabletop miniature form is a bottleneck. That it's like, okay, what you got to do is you got to buy all these models, and then you got to buy all these books, and then you got to learn all these rules, and then you got to paint all these models. Like that is a total bottleneck. Like I feel like Games Workshop has gotten popular because of like Total War and video games, and people being like, oh, I can just play this video game. Cool. Yeah, this lore's kind of neat. Okay, I'm gonna play the video game.
Oh, one example. Look at Fallout right now. Look at how
Dude, can
popular that has
I
become.
sorry, I meant to mention this. I started watching Fallout. I have no experience with Fallout. I tried to play the game once and I didn't really get into it, not for any good reason. I'm watching the show. It is so good.
Yeah,
like if anyone's in the chat and has played Fallout, speak to me about like how the show lines up with the video game, because dang.
There's only one thing people are annoyed about timeline with a certain event, which I haven't
Don't
played
spoil
any
it for
games.
me, I'm not done yet.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. It's just one thing that I'm not saying what one thing is, but people are like, I don't like that it doesn't match up with everything, and it's just like it's a thing. Just deal with it. It's only the first season. They will explain more things in the second, and now third season, which has been commissioned.
Whoa,
Like,
third?
Third, yeah.
Holy cow, they got second and third?
Yep.
Oh man, Amazon money.
It is that good. That's how popular it's been when it's come out.
Good.
It's really good, and it's just that has really upped the number of people who are playing Fallout 4, or Fallout 3, New Vegas, all of the different games. So
Yeah.
it's a good TV show. Just that alone can up and get it out to the wider masses.
Yeah, and what is Games Workshop doing? They got Superman making a TV show for them. Like
exactly that.
To believe that Games Workshop is at its peak popularity and that it's not going to get more popular is to fundamentally misunderstand how IPs scale in the current, like, I don't know, cultural milieu, that you take your IP that works and you franchise the crap out of it into all kinds of different things that you can make money off of.
Yeah, that's the goal.
It's also the case that, like, if you look at television and stuff like that, nothing gets greenlit unless it's already popular. Like, it's got to be a book, it's got to be this, that, the other thing. It's got to be something that's already known, because no one wants to take a chance on something brand new. So, like, my guy, like,
good point.
You
yes,
fundamentally misunderstand where this is all heading.
Yes, we have been unimportant, and we will continue to be unimportant.
Flynn, stop talking about missing Primarchs. What did I say about not creating weird lore stuff to justify the existence of women?
No, but that was part of the original stuff, that you could make whatever chapter or anything you wanted. You wanted to have furries as Space Marines. You could do that with the Primarchs. that was the whole point of these missing prime mocks, was my army doesn't fit in with whatever the current prime mocks are. I can have this as the army. And also lore changes massively from Games Workshop. You look at what was in Rogue Trader, that isn't in anymore. That they had some chapters that were first founding are now
Okay.
like second
Yep.
or third founding.
Okay, we're talking about
Games
Space Marines
Workshop
again.
Games Workshop will always change their lore for any
Talking about
faction.
Space Marines again.
What did I say about the only uncool thing about Cerberus XT whatever?
Space Marines.
Love Space Marines. This is a non-Space Marine safe place channel.
Except Terminators.
Yeah, Terminators are not Space Marines. They're Terminators. Let's be clear. Joe, I feel like we've been talking a lot. We haven't heard much from you.
That is correct.
Do you have anything you want to say?
Have you watched the Fallout show?
No, I have zero to no investment in Fallout.
Okay.
What I have to say, Nick is making it very tricky for me to chime in.
Sorry, dude.
When you say lore is unimportant, so I try to make my point. Too much shipping around the cliffs of being shut down immediately.
Okay.
So, little bit of background. I'm writing. I did write. Sometimes I started out with silly little fan fiction after the first Matrix movie, which is nice. And did write a silly little fan fiction about the Warhammer 40k universe. And I claim to have a certain grasp. I'm not a published author. I have no claim to fame at all. Just that.
Just in our hearts.
Front. Just in. Thank you. And we are dealing with a science fiction setting.
Yep.
And when a science fiction setting has an author, you want that science fiction setting to be relatable in any form or kind. It still has to have certain parts from the present, so people can relate to it. If you go too far out, people cannot relate, and they will find no interest in the story. Am I right so far?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I didn't say that lore didn't matter. I said I don't like it when people feel that they need to use lore to justify including folks that aren't represented already in the model line.
That is why I am trying to cut that out.
Okay.
So, Games Workshop's first baby steps into lore was Rogue Trader, that was written in the early 80s and did land itself a lot from other sci-fi publications.
Like all the others.
Like,
Spice.
Spice. Delicious spice. It must flow. So, we have the 80s. So, the cultural premise of the 80s is no women. Am I correct here?
No women what? Sorry, you broke up there.
In the army.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that was accurate at the time.
At least in the cultural context of the 80s in Great Britain, Flynn might be able there.
Before I was born, but yeah, I know. It was the only strong, powerful woman, apparently, at that time was Maggie Thatcher. Which...
You mean Gaskell Makaruk Thraka?
Yeah, Gaskell.
Gaskell. Yeah, but not exactly in the core itself. Maybe in the Medicore.
Just want to say something. Maggie's a bitch. Before anyone thinks that I'm on that side.
Yeah, no one likes Margaret Thatcher. It's okay.
Yeah, that statement is noted. There was some very unnecessary doings, I think, especially in the Falkland War. But okay, that is a story for another.
Nobody likes
That is
Margaret
a
Thatcher. It's fine.
that is a story for another time. So we progress as a society, and there are actually movies. I think it was not too controversial at the time, but made again when a certain Chris Rock made a silly joke about a certain wife of a certain.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And that was a reference to a movie of a first, I think, female participant in the Navy SEALs or the Marines, but I think in the Marines. So we are going forward as a culture. It's controversial. It's not easy.
Okay.
But right now, what Games Workshop is doing in progressing the story, it has, to a certain kind, I think, include the signs of the time. And that is the point that Nick made. Women are very real, although that might come to a surprise to certain
What?
people
I've
who
heard myths. I've heard
who
whispers
who
of this womankind.
who just know that strange person called a mother. And I think that is where we are right now. We are in a time of, well, things changing, and Games Workshop is doing the change. And every time when something changes and something new, it faces opposition from the establishment, it faces ridicule. And this is the, well, point where we are right now. So, yes, women are becoming a reality in the armed forces to a certain degree. There is a lot of space to argue about
Okay,
the
but like
impact, but right now we have, well, the people who already knew it who say, okay, we are moving too fast, and the people who are saying we are not moving fast enough. And that is the friction point we are at right now. And with everything, humans are very illogical, messy, and disgusting creatures that should be wiped off the earth. But right now, I think we still have to take them as they are and be part of this mess.
disgusting creatures. You're such a Xenos person. You're like an Eldar Farseer talking about the filthy monkey.
He is, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there might have been like a resistance to the inclusion of powerful, strong, representative, whatever female characters formerly in sci-fi, but I don't know, man. Like Sarah Connor, like Ellen Ripley, like that was back in the 80s. So I don't know. I think that
And that's why they have been, I think that's why they have been so iconic.
yeah, you're right, because there aren't that many. Okay, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And that is also sci-fi, so you can say people who are having a good grasp of the future may think it is possible that a woman might have a leading role in something.
Might have a good idea on their own.
Just
Oh no!
while we've been talking about films, just one thing that is actually related to this. A lot of people do complain about women taking over men's roles, etc., like redoing films, recasting it as women. But however, going to sidetrack that bit by going back to this of, I've watched Damsel recently, the one with Millie Bobby Brown,
Yeah.
and she plays a strong female character. But
Is
it's
she
a
11?
original.
Is Millie Bobby Brown
She's
11?
She is 11. Yes,
Okay.
she plays strong.
Not 11
female
years old, plays 11 in Stranger Things.
Yeah, in this one, she's a strong female character.
Don't want to think I'm going into MAP territory, whatever the crap that is.
Yeah. strong female character in the whole series, and I was watching it. I completely just go, cool, brilliant action sequence. You forget that it's a female character playing, and the whole film works. And it helps that the premise needs her to be a female character to work. But after that initial bit, it could be any character, but it works with her. It's because it is written well. The story is meh, but the way the character is brilliant.
Okay.
And that's what we need more of, and that's why people want more representation, but they want representation has to be done in the right way. For example, Ghostbusters and the Oceans, whichever number it was, didn't work because it was just, let's do this film that's already been done, but just change the characters from male to female.
So I just honestly, I would be a happy man if I lived in a world where the word strong female character just didn't exist. Just didn't exist. Stricken it from the lexicon. Yeah. We need it to get to that point, but I want to get to that point where they're just characters. They're not ooh, how does it feel to play a strong female character? On the
story, if it's
what?
Where it kind of is part of the artistic decision.
Currently, yes.
Whether it is a male or female. I think, for example, Alien wouldn't work with a male.
No?
No.
Interesting. Oh, one thing I wanted to note, though, on this whole topic. Whoa, okay, so, we went much longer on this topic than I thought we were going to, which is fine. I'm down. Talking about Fallout, did anyone else catch... This is not a spoiler. This is literally the first scene of Fallout. The first scene of Fallout is a training montage for explaining why Lucy is good at kicking ass, taking names, and shooting a gun. And I swear to God, I watched that. I'm like, did they do this so that angry people on the internet can't be like, she's a Mary Sue. How does she know how to shoot a gun? How does she know how to fight? Because she had this training montage at the beginning of the show where she was like, I know how to do all the things. Did anyone else notice that? Was it just me?
No, it was the whole show don't tell. They followed the whole show don't tell route.
No, but I honestly thought it was trying to diffuse, because so many characters, you get someone like Rey in Star Wars who is good at shit. People lose their mind, but then you got Luke Skywalker who's good at shit, and they're like, yeah, makes sense. So Simon?
I have played only Fallout 2, but my brother played Fallout 3.
Yeah.
And that started off with it's a role-playing game, and you can decide if you have a male, female character, and all that. Mm-hmm. And the game started with you going through all those sequences, creating your character by quotation marks playing his biography.
Oh, okay.
And that's depending on decisions you made back then. If I remember it correctly, it could be better in my memory than it was in reality. But depending on the decisions you're making in that biography, you decide what kind of character you want to have.
Well, we've got at least one person in the chat who's into Fallout. So thank you, Steve Deadload, for giving your Fallout experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simon, do you think he's too tall? I'm making him a real skinny boy.
Oh Jesus, I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing your stream.
Oh, okay. I've greatly extended the legs on the lanky boy because I feel like he wasn't lanky enough.
Is this the Primarch? The Primarch? Patriarch.
Did you just call it a Primarch? Do I need to ban you from the stream?
No Space Marines! What have you done with Flynn?
We've talked about too many Space Marine things. That's why I got the wrong words.
I'm pretty sure you talked about Space Marine things.
I
Don't make me bring up the goddamn stream where you're talking about how hot you are for Heresy Marines.
Oh, damn it, he remembers. Who invited you? Oh, wait, it was me.
Thank you, Joe. You saved me.
Hot for Heresy, what can I say? Oh, wait, no, that never happened. Fake news.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is some obscure creature conference law that has been redacted and has never happened.
What? Wait. mausoleum. We need to have a clip video uploaded, I think, of him loving those Marines.
Oh my God. I don't think mausoleums are around.
Uh,
Lynn, what's going on in the chat?
nice.
Okay, so, uh,
Shall I derail?
there is quite a lot to talk about Fallout, about the special stats. So, is your major about Steve Deadload says it's canon. It ties back to your special stats in the game, but he's referring to the bit about Lucy's bit in the beginning. Before I read the next comment, I just want to know, what episode are you up to? Where are you with the storyline?
The heck am I? She's hooked up with
Maxis.
Armor Guy, and they just ran into some guys on a bridge, and that didn't go ideally. Oh no, okay, they went looking for medical supplies and stuff happened, and now they're in a special place where things are happening, and she found a weird video of a woman giving birth to something. That's the last thing I saw.
So she has spoken to that specific person leading that area.
I'll be back in a sec.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it's just, so basically, Wilke says hashtag Team Goosey.
Yeah, what's the Goosey deal? They're calling her Goosey. I don't get. Okay, don't tell me anymore because I haven't figured out what Goosey's about.
It's basically her name is written wrong.
Carbide says no spoilers. Yeah, Carbide hasn't seen all it yet, so let's not talk about this anymore.
Okay, their name has been written wrong. That is it. That is all it is. It's a clerical error, basically.
Okay.
But that doesn't really give anything anyway. I'm just gonna say hello to everyone because
we missed Electro Dust Bunny. Bye, Electro Dust Bunny.
I was gonna say hello, then goodbye. Okay, so Electro Dust. So the people who've actually had turn up so far is Gideon Smith, Electro Dust Bunny, Airborne Osborne, Radon 995. That's you, Joe. We've had Fergus Carroll, Tom Wilson, Carbide. Hello,
Gideon
Carbide.
Smith. Did you mention Gideon Smith? Hi, Gideon.
Gideon Smith. Yeah.
Smith.
First one going down. Just seeing if there's anyone else. Will K. Tactical. Steve Deadload, I mean. Monty.
Well, hey, Monty.
And that is everyone. Carbide also hasn't seen stuff that's going in no spoilers. That's why I wanted to check where people were at, so I don't give any spoilers. But I did. It's really good series.
Oh, I wanted to give a hot tip.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm doing this guy's legs, and you might be wondering why I'm using 2 pins, and that's because I've screwed this up too many times, where I only put 1 pin, and then I fill this whole. Hey, welcome back. I fill this whole area in with putty, and then the glue isn't strong enough for something, and I'm like torquing on the leg, and I managed to torque it, and I've got a completely smooth, like joint here between the putty and the leg itself, and it just like rotates. So I put the 2nd pin in to keep it from rotating if that happens. I could have also like gone and like notched into the leg so that the putty filled into that, and then maybe it wouldn't rotate as easily, but I like to overdo things. So I'm overdoing this guy. He could totally be bionic with these.
So do you know what I do instead?
What?
Of that?
Now that I've done all that work, yes, please tell me.
Because I didn't know that's the reason why you're doing it.
Okay.
I thought it was because you were going to have like a really thin bit of muscle joint between the two.
Ooh,
bits.
smart.
So what I do is I did it with one of my giants recently that was doing some tool surgery on, which you'll understand later. I did the first pin in. I got putty to wrap around the pin and push it into the leg, but didn't stick it in yet. So I let it all cure in place, and then I came back after it had gone rock hard, and then I glued it in place so I could sculpt around it. So I had like a solid base on it that was stuck into the base. So I had the pin, the putty on top of it, all stuck together, and then the detail work on top. Which works the same as what you're doing. It's just my step takes a bit longer to work through.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide. I thought I was going to extend his lower legs as well, but I don't know if he needs it. I think extending the upper legs helps enough. I'll get out his creepy arms, and then we can decide. Simon, how's Frog Boy going?
Frog Boy is done.
Done? No, Big
Yeah.
Frog. Big fat Frog Boy.
Okay, let me first talk about the small frog that I made.
Yes.
I am, because I have a little bit to redeem myself. We once did that. Does 3D printing change anything? Blah blah blah, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least for me, it changed a lot.
You and me had to eat our hat when we got to the Crimson Vale, and Sebastian had printed all that glorious scenery, and we were like, man, the scenery's amazing. He's like, don't you love 3D printing now?
Yeah, that scenery was one part, but like all those NPCs I wanted to do up front were basically impossible without having a printer at hand, or people who can use a printer and have all those miniatures being printed. It definitely, I don't want to open up that topic. It definitely reduces the value of a single miniature for sure.
Yeah.
But it on the other side enables you to host something of interest with a certain amount of miniatures needed, which is great. Okay, long story short, to circle back, I was very envious because I just saw that Apocrypha now, Ben, had in his story on Instagram posted one of those fishes that Max, Max Fitzgerald is putting out. Max Fitzgerald is the dude who made Turnip 28.
Oh, yeah. Hieronymus. I think his name is like Hieronymus Max or something like that, or like his
yeah. That's I think that's his Instagram handle. Yes.
Yeah.
So he keeps on posting about all those fish dudes, and he's having this new setting called Swill, and
not turnip related.
No. He kind of. I feel like he's a little bit oversaturated with turnip at some point.
Yeah, well, it's been super successful, so.
Yeah, but he's an artist, an illustrator, and I assume that at some point you need something new.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes these fish dudes, and they are disgusting and funny at the same time, because there's this little fish dude walking like a fish with 2 feet in boots, and that fish is having a little hat and smoking a cigarette. It's ridiculous. It's
I love it already.
Funny.
I'm sold. Get me the fish.
Yeah, and he kind of made apparently an STL pack with those fishes who have just been distributed, I assume, amongst his Patreons, and they are ridiculously cute and funny and bizarre and weird and all those things at the same time. And then I saw those at Apocrypha's Now story, and I was like, dude, how come that you have some of this fish? And he said, well, you're not in the loop. He has, released those STLs, and I was like, damn it!
What the heck is his
profile?
I'm trying to look it up. Does anyone know? What's his profile? Did you find it?
You said the profile earlier. I couldn't type it quick enough.
Hieronymus Max.
Hieronymus. Okay, I'm looking at Herodotus or something. Let's see.
I can't spell. This is where dyslexia doesn't help.
Worry.
Hieronymus _ Max.
Okay. Thank you. Got it. Cool. Sorry, this is it. I've got it. I'm going to post it in the chat box here. I found it. I found it. It's Hyro, as in Hi.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. I don't blame
Thank you
you.
for posting it because I can't find it.
Yes, I had to use Google Foo.
Dudes.
I'm
Hieronymus Bob.
dyslexic.
Okay, while you're searching for that, so I was very envious that they had all those printed out things, and I was like, I want something like that as well.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, just sculpting a fish onto a dude is kind of boring. And then I wanted to tweak it and went for I'm going to make a toad, and he's not smoking a cigar, he's smoking a pipe, and
Yeah.
he's walking like a human holding his gun.
I'm just seeing the fish. It's brilliant.
Yes, isn't it?
But I also like yours, Simon.
Yeah, and I thought fish is boring. Let's go with something else. And here's my toad. Toad
love
dude.
him.
I'll post it up later.
He's
While we're
good.
talking about randomness, look what I got. I have this wonderful thing here.
Ooh. Tell us about that randomness.
I have no idea how these things work, and I actually hate them because they need to be logic. You know, you need to be able to embrace logic as part of your life, and I cannot just do that.
Next
So
up on the stream, things Simon hates.
yes.
Oh, those are cool.
And but there's like a community challenge on Instagram called Rubik 28. Rubik.
Of course there is.
With an X.
Of course there friggin' is.
28.
There always is.
Yes.
Of course it is. And it basically is the like people have started using those Rubik cubes. For example, Blightbones did for the Tongs fast. He took a Rubik's cube and made a tonk of it. And
A tonk is a tank, for anyone who's not familiar.
Yes.
It's a cute little chubby tank, right?
Yes, exactly. It looks amazing. And I thought, well, I don't want to have a cube. I want to have a triangle because I'm obsessed with triangles these days.
Yeah.
And so I bought this and I looked at it and it already has a mouth here. And I'm going to make different eyes around this area. And then you can turn around. Oh, I have large eyes. I have middle eyes. I have multiple eyes. And I want to have little teeth here. So this thing in the middle is the mouth. And then we have mouths on all the sides. Yeah.
I love it.
Sorry, I think I'm getting a call. Yes, Zinch wants its ideas back.
Yeah, I don't care about Zinch. I know that's the frog you've been asking for. This is the frog I'm making for Hive Fleet Moloch. Our dear Mr. Moloch, who's working on a gene stealer called Force, and I wanted to cultify, let's call it that way, cultify a slan for quite a while, and that's what I'm doing here. And last 2 weeks ago, I managed to get the upper torso done. Basically, and I think today I managed to get the head done. So he is all brains out and has the gene stealer or the gene stealer carapace on the forehead, and I think I'm pretty happy with how he's looking right now.
He looks pretty good.
Yeah. I want to keep his eyes rather round because I want to have those this round eye design as part of this whole theme, because here's the gene stealer called Symbio up in the front with a round eye, and there's a round eye, and it all comes from this throne having these snake things on the side which have round eyes, and I like that.
This is how you know you're dealing with a proper artist.
Yeah,
not someone who plays
the idea
one on
of these round eyes
me.
because sorry?
Not someone who just plays one on television like I
do. Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of sticking to those round eyes and not giving him any evil looking eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
So that painted up, this might, I hopefully kind of connects together.
Well,
And
Marco's also obsessed with underwater stuff, and I feel like the round eye stuff strikes me as more underwatery than
yes, exactly.
else.
Anything else?
Yeah. I am also
Yeah.
working on a patriarch for Moloch because apparently we convinced him to have 2 patriarchs. Simon's is the fat man and mine's the thin man. And he's going to have some cool brain matter too. I just got to get around to it. Once I'm finished roughing in the body shape.
Mhm.
And I wish I could see it. Oh, go back and see it in the stream afterwards.
Well, I can
Uh,
send it to you or whatever. Glenn?
Seeing as I know you're working with a epoxy, there was a question
Ooh,
earlier
I like it.
from Steve Deadload.
Yes?
Says, modern synthesist,
Yes.
when you're working with epoxy sculpt and milliput, do you use disposable gloves when mixing parts A and B?
Steve, I'm going to stop you right there. I don't work with epoxy sculpt and milliput. I fucking hate milliput. It's so messy. Ugh. But yes, yeah, I would recommend using gloves because it is disgusting. Also, like I use this here is not milliput. This is epoxy sculpt. Abe's epoxy sculpt. And I use that because it's cheap here in North America and it's good for filler and for bulking stuff up. But I also should be using gloves when I use this because this also has a silt. It's not as gross as milliput. However, no, please don't use disposable gloves. Go to whatever store you got nearby and get a pair of reusable dish gloves. I've had these for years and use those to mix it up. See all this junk in here? This is all for mixing putty. They still work just fine. That's also what I use for airbrushing. I use these. Don't use disposable gloves. It's not worth it. And I think these are some fancy, I don't know, eco brand fair rubber. Who knows? I got them at a local store.
Could you just use normal washing up rubber gloves as well?
Yeah, that's what they are. They're basically washing up rubber gloves, but fancy.
But wait, Steve, if you are in the UK, you can buy it. It is a little bit more, but honestly, it is worth getting epoxy sculpt. It is actually better than milliput. I have started only using milliput, and I would rather have
People do
epoxy
amazing
sculpt.
things with milliput. Like Box does amazing things with milliput. Simon, wait, no, Simon, you don't use milliput, do you?
No.
Vermis. Vermis does amazing things with milliput.
I luckily met you early on, and ever since, whenever I visit you, I get a can. And,
converted you to the epoxy ways.
Yes.
I tried to get a sponsorship from Epoxy Sculpt, but they don't really have their shit together.
What I will say is, milliput is good for like filling in gaps.
Yeah, it's very like
bulking out.
You can like smooth it very easily with water and like slop it around.
But apart from that, it's for me personally, it's not. It's more of a bulk out. It's not something to do detail work in, and
you can do it. Like there are miniature sculptors who use exclusively milliput, but I feel like I have found that there are materials that I find more pleasant, like epoxy sculpt, which when it's pure epoxy sculpt kind of has a consistency like plasticine, sort of, but softer. And then if you mix epoxy sculpt with green stuff, there's no reason to use any putty else in your entire life because the two of them together is just so pleasant.
I was just going to say, Pete the Wargamer in his most recent video where he does the Plague Toad actually says he will use milliput for bulking things out and then use green stuff for actually putting details in.
Highly recommend that because green stuff is so expensive. I think milliput's cheaper than green stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I use epoxy sculpt, because epoxy sculpt in North America is way cheaper than green stuff. I know it's slightly more expensive in the UK, but you buy green stuff and you get like a few 100 grams of it or something, but you buy epoxy sculpt and you buy it by like the pound. You can get like a 4-pound tub for like, I don't know, 50 or 60 or 70 bucks. And then you can do it for like terrain, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I went from the milliput went to Hobbycraft, £6 for 4 ounces.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what an ounce
where
is.
you compared.
Although I just said pound.
What was I going to say? Yeah. Well, pound is in there in the currency. So it's 113 grams basically. Whereas for green stuff, if I were to try and get something for £6, I wouldn't be getting anywhere near that amount. And
Yeah.
also, it would, to get anything decent enough,
Shit.
it would be the joined in the half with the plastic around it. So it's already you don't know how long it's been like that. So you're going to have that layer forming. I've had that happen on quite a lot of green stuff I bought recently. And it's a pain to, one, separate it out because it's so thin, because it's not in the tube way.
Yeah.
And two, if you do it, you mix it together, and then you're going to spend just trying to pull out those little bits.
So if this
It's not
is
the
your
best.
first stream with us, what Flynn is referring to is the fact that when you get green stuff in its natural containers from Neatitite or whoever, the wrapping that they put on the yellow is actually not good for it. It reacts with the yellow very slowly, and over time it will create a skim on it that is like, it's inflexible. Well, it's flexible, but you can't actually sculpt with it, and you'll get like bits in it. So don't do what Hydra does, which is keep your green stuff in the container. Well, Hydra uses enough green stuff that it probably doesn't happen to him. But take your green stuff, put it in glass containers, not plastic. Glass containers, like these mason jars. And then it won't react. Yeah, it'll get stuck to the inside of these, but you're not really losing that much. And if you really want to work at it, you can like work it off the inside of them. But oh god, that stinks. Also, it keeps the stink in. But yeah, I've tried storing green stuff in different kinds of plastic containers, and you never know which kind of plastic is the kind that slightly reacts with it. And I've had this both with green stuff and with epoxy sculpt. So I keep all of my putty in glass mason jars. Oh! Like, here's my epoxy sculpt. This B
And
stuff
handily,
is most reactive, and it is chilling here.
handily, you made a good video about it that I saw.
I did make a good video about it. Flynn, you gonna throw a link to that video down in the description below? Oh, sorry, not in the
already
description,
there.
in the
Professionals.
chat. Good
It's
man.
already there.
Good man.
Speaking of things that are already there, what else was in that White Dwarf issue you had?
Oh, right. Now that I've got my workspace all messed up, let's go get that shiny new magazine. Oh, okay. One thing to touch on briefly. So, if you're a Tyranid person and you've been living under a rock, you may have seen this. Hi, you may have seen this article from Emily about painting a new color scheme. And it's like this. Oh no, that's like a standard Tyranid color scheme. But then she goes into like, hey, look, I put these markings on the back of my gaunts, and it's like a stippling kind of thing. Some people in the community have said that she didn't invent this and that this is called the coconut crab scheme that Catgut Painting came up with a long time ago. This is slightly different, but I'm going to hope that Emily doesn't know about the coconut crab scheme, because folks in the Tyranid community definitely know about the coconut crab scheme. But yeah, that was one piece of slightly dramatic news that came out of this issue of White Dwarf. Yeah, because here's a... Oh, wait, no, this is Steve. The different guy who's also doing coconut crab.
God damn it, Steve.
Steve! Did he say it? Anyway, yeah, this is called coconut crab. If you think this is cool, if you see this in White Dwarf, this is called the coconut crab scheme, and you should go look up coconut crab Catgut Painting, and yeah. And people do it in different colors.
And Cat Crab Painting started it in 2019. He released his YouTube
Wait, no, I
video
thought it was
for
older than
September.
that.
But he released the YouTube video of how to do it in 1st of September 2019. I did my research today. So
Okay.
he's done it before 1st of September 2019. It's that top. It's older than that.
Someone else also commented that Catgut Painting may not have been the one who actually premiered it, that it could have been someone else who came up with it originally. I don't really know. It's a cool scheme, but it's some people might think it's a bit overdone in the Tyranid community. But it's a very efficient scheme to like have like a cool, unique scheme that looks like some kind of natural markings that you would see on a insect or crustacean.
It's overdone
Crawling
now.
up a coconut tree.
Crawling in that coconut tree. So was there anything else, Flynn, that you were trying to hint at in the White Dwarf?
So also with this, we're going to say about because May is the 500th issue of White Dwarf.
Yeah.
And Games Workshop, they have posted about they're doing like a special anniversary model for the White Dwarf, which is
How do we pronounce his name?
brilliant.
Glorbindel? Grobindel?
Grombindle.
Grobindel?
So he is also known as Snorri Whitebeard. He was one of the dwarf kings at the time of the War of the Beard or the War of Vengeance, whichever side you talk about it. And he has always turned up when dwarves need him most. There was a story in the 300, a graphic novel sort of thing, was only a few pages long, in the 300th White Dwarf issue that tailed of some of his exploits.
Mm-hmm.
And White Dwarf recently, they did an article, only I think about 2 days ago, on Wednesday I think it was.
Sorry, Warhammer
about
Community did an article.
yeah,
Said White Dwarf
Warhammer's
did an
Community did an article. Sorry. Yeah, well, they did an article about the White Dwarf models that they had produced. Now, for myself, as someone who actually absolutely freaking loves the White Dwarf models, they addressed the point of they had missed out 2 models. Annoyingly for me, they had actually missed out a 3rd model, which they hadn't referred to at all, which on the Stuff of Legends, they actually showcase all of the White Dwarf models. Now,
So
this is one of the points you'd expect Games Workshop to actually, you'd think they'd have a back catalogue of all of their older models, but they don't for
no.
some
Have
reason.
you
I can
like
understand.
if you read any of the like old world stuff, they're like, yeah, we forgot we even had this model. But then the dude who works in our old casting room brought it out and was like, hey, remember when we did this? And we were like, no, we don't. So
Oh, you're referring to the green sculpt for the Bretonian Lord character,
Yeah.
where they're like, we had this one, but we never actually released him.
So here's the article on
Hopefully.
Warhammer Community, which is not that exciting, but it goes through like White Dwarfs over the ages. Kind of cool. There's some
Stuff of
stuff in here
Legends.
that I don't remember ever seeing, like the
Yeah.
Witch Hunter White Dwarf. How
Yeah.
cool is that guy?
Oh yeah, I've got them all.
And then like there's the oh, I didn't know about the Blood Bowl one, but then I learned that it was a Forge World thing, and I tend to just like turn my brain off whenever I see that something's a Forge World model.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here's all
So
the
they
ones
were
that
all,
they
like,
covered, but Flynnhammer did some deep digging, and he got Stuff of Legends. If you're not familiar with Stuff of Legends, you clearly are a new hobbyist, because Stuff of Legends was like, I don't know how to describe it. Simon, do you remember the website Stuff of Legends?
Yes.
How would you describe it?
As a catalog.
Yeah, like
I'll
back
say
in the
it's the
day
catalog.
when the world was young, Games Workshop used to have catalogs, and it was a really cool place to like see all the bits and all that kind of stuff. And then
Because you
eventually they
could
got rid of
order
catalogs.
individual bits, right?
Yes, you could order original individual bits. You could like send in like order forms and order metal pieces off of models and stuff like that. But that went the way of the dodo. But Stuff of Legends is a really great website where they've kind of like preserved the kind of content that was in those catalogs. So you can look back at like old miniatures. The photo quality is
Yeah.
not amazing, because I don't know who's running Stuff of Legends these days, but they're doing the Lord's work, and I don't know, I feel like I need to send them a contribution or something. But anyway, Stuff of Legends is friggin' amazing. And I'm really glad that Flynn... Dwarves bore me, possibly more than Space Marines. I can't explain why. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that Flynn brought this up so we could talk about Stuff of Legends, because Stuff of Legends is the greatest. So we got here a picture. I didn't realize that was a picture of like White Dwarves over the years at the top there. And I think this is someone's collection.
Yeah, so it's one of the people who actually runs Stuff of Legends, is their collection of the models.
Yeah.
So it's just, to me, it just surprises that Games Workshop don't have a full collection of their own miniatures as a catalogue. It's just something.
I think
it just
it's
reminds
just
me of BBC
Simon?
and their Doctor Who episodes.
Simon?
with that. I think it's just like with Masters of the Universe, where they at some point sold all the casting blocks of the models, and Mattel at some point had to rebuy those things because they were like, "Oh, we don't produce them anymore. We don't need them." And
Yeah,
they
and
sold
that's probably
all the
like
stuff.
Games Workshop didn't sell it, but they probably like Old white dwarf model. We don't produce those anymore. Who cares? Get rid of it.
But it's because for me, it's a whole. You know this anniversary is coming up. You know what the models look like. Why can't you just go to eBay or ask people around the offices if they've got one, and we can just use that as a photography?
So
Because
which
the
ones did they?
person who is tasked to write the article for this probably doesn't care enough.
Yeah, because they're likely not being given a whole lot of time. They're like, here are some pictures of white dwarfs from the past. Put them together in an article.
But in the defense, they did mention that they didn't have two of them, which was the SS6 White Dwarf, and then it was also the one that was also basically based off the Hero Quest White Dwarf.
Which one's that?
If you scroll down a little bit, 'cause I know we're a little bit
What's it
behind, but
called?
it'll be there. It's right beneath the SS6. I
It's
can't
right
remember the name
beneath
of
the
it.
SS6. So I had the SS6. The guy leaning on his axe? White dwarf at
Yeah.
90?
I think that, yeah, White Dwarf at 90, and then it'll be Hero Quest as well. They've got a load of pictures for that one.
So, like, Games Workshop did have one of those SS white dwarfs, right? Actually, that was a pretty cute model, that one they got there. They got the one holding the axe in the right hand. You're saying they're missing the one holding the axe in the left hand?
So that's the one they had. That's the FS17.
Oh,
The
jeez.
SS6 is the one they didn't have.
Yeah. Flynnhammer gets to throw these stones because one day he wants to run a miniature museum.
I have the Tyranid Museum.
You should just apply to be the museum curator at Warhammer World or something.
Yeah. They wouldn't let me do that.
Too much
Yeah,
heresy.
run away with the
You
miniatures.
have the stuff more complete than they do.
I use other sources to complete my collections more than they do.
So, Flynn, what else did you want to say about this dwarf stuff?
Oh, it's for me. It's just like it's a brilliant. I hope it's just like they're doing the actual White Dwarf. They know about certain things to get the community engaged, but it's just for me. It feels that there's certain things lacking from Games Workshop, but hopefully they will have like these sort of collections through the ages now going forward, because it's most likely one of those old layover things of, oh, we're probably not going to be around that long. We don't need to have keep hold of these things.
Yeah.
Where they now be, we need to keep hold of these things. We don't know how long are we going to be going for, or what anniversaries are going to be, and I just hope, because I've got another thing about it. The Warhammer Vault hasn't had an update in over a year.
Yeah, I saw someone
and I'm
posting about
hoping
that.
it's and I'm hoping, most likely me. I'm
No, it was
hoping
someone
they
else.
don't just. Oh, good. Someone else is nice. Hoping it's just not a. We're holding out to post because of the White Dwarf anniversary.
Why would that be a thing?
But because they use the White Dwarf magazine issues to post those for the anniversary, like to showcase.
Oh, so they're going to be like, it's the anniversary. Here's a bunch of White Dwarf articles.
That's what White Dwarf issues. But yeah, I think that's what they're going to do, because a lot of that. There's another recent post they've done on the community page, which is referencing White Dwarf's PD, and they're showing them like as PDF documents, which they haven't posted to the website yet, to the vault yet. So I'm thinking that's going to be something they're going to do.
Okay.
And I'll be annoyed if they've just waited for that amount of time for it.
As with all other parts of Warhammer Plus that I pay for, I don't use the vault.
Yeah, the vault's really underused.
I don't think I've even like requested my miniature yet for this year, because I thought I'd canceled and then I failed. I had not canceled, and yeah.
Request the new one. Request this year's miniature, then cancel, because so you don't get renewed again for next year.
Yeah,
so you don't forget.
I'm gonna get that cool vampire lady.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
I have this toad on his throne from deep below the ocean, but what does his staff tip look like?
Not like that.
Yeah,
Simon,
exactly.
it's you. It's got to be something with tentacles.
I know.
Huh?
What did I send you, Simon? The thingy from the boat from the Mega Gargant kit. That top bit.
Yeah.
Put tentacles on that.
I did already, and I will put it up here on the very top. But it doesn't work. It looks great for a banner, but not for a staff. Okay.
Okay.
Tentacles. Something.
Tentacles.
Tentacle head. Because it somehow has to work with those with the Aztec design.
Yeah.
They're using here this rather blocky design.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Tentacles. Tentacles it is. Good.
Always tentacles.
Yeah, always.
When in doubt,
Never enough
Cthulhu it
tentacles.
out.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, you don't know that, but there is a German series called 4 Blocks.
4 blocks?
4 Blocks, yes, and
Yeah.
it's about like a part of Berlin, which is called Neukölln, New Cologne,
Oh.
and it is obviously one of the most horrible parts you
we
could
hate it.
possibly live in.
Yeah, because it's Cologne.
Because it basically is a ghetto,
Oh.
and there it's about like this one criminal family organization, like a mafia structure, and of course there are these different rivalries going on, and there's one group that it consists out of outcasts and weird people no one wants, and they are cooking up crack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're called Cthulhu.
Cthulhu? Awesome.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When I saw that they have like these this motorcycle club, this MC, and they have these leather vests, and it says in big titles on the back like Cthulhu, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? They didn't even bother to write it with a K or anything like that. It's straight Cthulhu.
And you're like, I want one. Get me one of those jackets.
Yeah. That was pretty
Simon,
good. Yes.
can I make a suggestion for the staff?
Yes, please.
Well, you have the two snakes not facing each other. And my suggestion is to cut out one snake and turn the head of one snake, and then you have the Gene Stealer symbol.
Ooh. Like cut it away and turn the other one around?
Yes. One snake
Okay.
has to go, and the other snake has to turn its head.
Yeah, and it's circling around like the Ouroboros. Do they have detail in the back?
Yeah, they.
That's a good suggestion, Joe.
That really is. That really is. Thank you. Yeah, that is so much for my Cthulhu experience.
So while we've got a little bit of a lull, I'm going to do the thing. So
Uh-oh.
if you've been enjoying the stream, or you're watching later and you've been enjoying it, drop a like, or if you're watching later, drop a comment. Share the stream to friends, family, the random person on the street that's walking their dog.
Dogs.
Remember, the dogs want to know as well. But
What
yeah,
was that,
just
Simon?
I just said cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to support the stream, one way to do that is on Patreon. Because I have a Patreon that I run, and right now is a good opportunity to do it because I am creating a new Warp Shadow shirt for folks. If you've not seen our shirts that we had before, they're pretty cool. It looked like the old Tyranid Codex cover. And I've got a special offer now for patrons where they can get the shirt for cheap because I got to do like the initial print run of it before I like share it out and show it to people if they want it. And yeah, you can, if you were to head over to my Patreon and become a patron, you can comment on this post, give me your shirt size, and get it for basically cost. Paying for it with Little
Link
to
to the
no
Patreon is
markup.
in the description.
Sorry?
Link to the Patreon is in the description.
Yes. You can also support the channel by going over to Fenris Workshop if you live in North America and placing an order with them. And they even have like a points system. Like I've realized I've got literally 400 points. Sorry, $400 worth of Fenris points to spend on whatever. I can't believe I accrued that many points that quickly. So it's a pretty good system. Yeah. Or just make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment. Also another good way to do it. But I want to shout out the artist who drew this design for me, which is Panda Funk Team, Tom Boyle, over on Instagram. You can find him at Panda Funk Team. And yeah, I just think it's really cool. And also, a small shout out to Miniac, who partially inspired this, because when Maniac and Ninjon were having like a Trapped Under Plastic episode, they mentioned something of mine, and they were like, oh yeah, it was done by Modern Synthesist, which sounds like the name of some weird DJ. I'm like, oh, I love it. So that's where I got this idea.
So you're adding DJ to your international Turnet expert portfolio.
DJ Mod Synth. What? Oh, did people see Illogic and like the really cool stuff he's posting with the like mechanized, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you like turn a crank and something moves?
Oh, the cams.
Sorry?
It's called the type of thing it's called is like a cam. That
Oh.
the bit that moves up and down is the cam. I
Ah,
can't remember what the
okay.
actual thing is, but it's a cam. I know it's a cam thing, and they look amazing.
Yeah, so he made those. He made a really cool Von Rhines Leaper. He may or may not be sending it to me because he's a sweetheart. And I said that he should use the song Intermission by Tool for them, because it's like a very kind of like vaudeville, kind of like carny sounding song. And he said that I was a great DJ. So just linking it all back to DJ Modern Synthesist, apparently.
May I inject another community thing
Always.
on Instagram?
Always.
This one's called, oh jeez, Rock People.
Oh, I saw that. That was cool.
There's a group of sculptors who are gathering on a Discord called Indie. Jesus, it's Banhus, BANHUAUS.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Oh, I thought it was like a German word.
Oh no, it's he's called BANHSUS underline miniatures, Banhus miniatures, and he's doing his jam is kind of turning medieval illustrations into miniatures.
Hmm.
He has like a little miniature line. It's incredible. And he and other people are running this Discord about indie miniature sculptors. And they once in a while have a competition. And this one is inspired by Mangling Miniatures and Mangling Terra, whose profile is called Mangling Miniatures, has branched out into other spheres, and at some point started to build miniatures with wood.
Mm-hmm.
And recently he has been sculpting on stones.
Whoa.
And then trying to blend his sculpt work into the paint, into the colors of the stones.
Cool.
Which is pretty rad. And they took off his idea of sculpting on stones and made rock folk. I think it's rock folk. Let me look it up. But they have this fun challenge about making rock. No, it's rock folk. Yes, rock folk community challenge. It's pretty fun. You cannot win anything. You just take a stone and sculpt a face on it, and that's it. and have fun with it. And so I went out to look out for a stone I could sculpt on because I kind of love this. And I found the stone and I thought, well, this is basically round. There's no interesting shape, so I need to look out for a stone with interesting shapes. And then I picked up the stone. I hope you're seeing right now. And I looked at the stone.
I love it so much. It's so bang on what you said it was. I'm gonna try and make it bigger. One sec. I don't know how much quality we're gonna get. No, leave it right there. You got?
Oh, that's probably reflecting.
Look at you with your background. Yeah, we just don't like I think we're running out of quality on your cam, but it's okay. That's a good place for it. I've got it up. I think it's as focused as it's gonna get. Hopefully people can see it. What do you see in it, Simon?
Yeah, I looked at the stone and I thought that's weird, and then I turned it around and thought, well, I don't need to sculpt on it because it looks like a bored dinosaur,
Yeah.
like a bored T-Rex already. I don't have to do anything. It looks perfect.
Well, you're going to do something, right, to accentuate it, or no?
I thought about it, but right now I'm feeling like that's why I have this picture frame here. I'm going to glue it onto this frame. I have the background black. I figured if I should complete kind of the figure and draw it, like have it sideways and then draw something around it.
Draw the body to go with the head.
Yeah, but I feel like I will keep it that just this way. Have a little name tag below it. Be like looking up what bored dinosaurs would mean on Latin and put it down there. And maybe in 50 years, my kids will look on my wall and be like, "What the fuck did Father smoke when he glued a rock to this frame?" But
in 50 years, it'll hopefully be legal.
Yeah. Well, it's illegal here right now.
Good.
So, yeah. So I just looked at the stone and it's just hilarious, and I cannot unsee it anymore. I cannot look at the stone from any other angle without seeing this dinosaur head. Yeah.
No, I love it. When you posted it, I saw it immediately. I mean, you did give me the prompt bored dinosaur, but
and also a funny coincidence that Terra is writing the rule set for Westphalia Miniatures Kickstarter.
Yeah.
The Dark Object.
Yeah.
And he told me that.
Oh, cool! The one that our boy Boris is sculpting for.
Yes.
Otherwise known as the unofficial Frostgrave, the unofficial Stargrave crew Kickstarter.
Yeah. He does amazing stuff, and the fun part is that they Westphalia Miniatures approached Terra because they had someone mention on their Discord that he wrote Herding 28, and they liked his non-combat tabletop game so much that they approached him and asked if he wanted to write their rule set.
Cool.
Which is pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing.
Yep, that's it.
Nice. I'm about to cut my finger in half. I'm trying to cut this head in half so I can expand it.
Please don't.
I'm also going to do something weird with the ears. What?
Please don't cut yourself to pieces.
I'll try not to.
Blood for the blood god.
Hey, who asked you?
Corn.
Yeah.
Corn.
The nails are biting or something like that.
Corn.
Or you could glue the head to something and then sew it in half, so you don't have to make a mess of your fingers.
Oh, smart.
Or someone who I knew growing up used to call it crony.
Corn?
Hey!
You called it crony?
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started on how Germans pronounce chaos gods.
Oh, dude, like, not just Germans,
we
English
will.
speakers.
Well, kids, I need to go to bed now.
Yeah, it's getting late. Thanks for hanging on for so long, all my chums who are in Europe, and it is much later there. Thanks for joining on the stream. Thank you to everyone in the chat for being here with us this evening. Had a very spirited discussion earlier. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I hope that everyone has a good and productive and creative weekend ahead. And yeah, we will look forward to chatting with you soon. The next time we're going to stream is going to be likely this Wednesday for Work in Progress Wednesday. And we'll look forward to seeing everyone then.
Awesome. Have a good night, everyone.
Is there anything in
Good
the
night,
chat?
everybody.
Oh, Electro Dust Bunny came
Bye.
back. Okay, good night. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Flynn. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.